Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskricha. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting this glorious Srimad Bhagavatam, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, daughter of Lord Brahma, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the divinely empowered author. So, Amala Puran, Mahapuran, Srimad Bhagavatam, the literary incarnation of the Lord, I've chosen to share with you one of my favorite verses. Well, actually, it's one of my favorite eternal Parishad, an eternal associate of Lord Krishna, Queen Kunti. She's like the Mahajan, Mahajani Katasa Panta, that Queen Kunti had so much pure love and devotion for Lord Krishna. She happened also to be the aunt of Lord Krishna, but mostly she embodies the highest state of divine love and pure bhakti. Therefore, her prayers are immensely significant and enriching, with so much Krishna Tattva, so much truth, but imbued with complete divine love. I had the good fortune in 1973 to be under the leadership of Uttama Sloka Prabhu, who was our president in Montreal for a whole year. And we were reading from this chapter, Prayers by Queen Kunti, 8th chapter, the first canto. And it was so inspiring. He got the idea of having us all, a dozen or more devotees, to learn all these verses, because we were going through them one after another. So through the whole month, there was 25 verses. We learned most of them, because we would have to repeat them. Every morning we'd have to repeat the first 10 verses. So we really got, and I kept them my whole life. My favorite is Krishnaya Vasudevasya Devakinandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Komuraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So many nice verses in there. Anyway, so I chose to try and share something about this glorious prayer by Queen Kunti in this text 36. Shinvanti Gayanti Kirinanti Abhikshnasa Smaranti Nandanti Tavaikam Janaha Deva Pasyanti Achirena Tavakam Bhavat Prabhava Prabha Haro Paramam Udam Ujam. Someone else, please.
Shrinvanti Gayanti Grananti Abhikshna.
Shinvanti Gayanti Grananti Abhikshna.
Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana.
Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana.
Taeva Pashanti
Bhava Param Param.
Srinvanti Gayanti Grananti Abhishnasa.
Srinvanti Gayanti Grananti Abhishnasa.
Smaranti Nandanti Tavahitam Jana.
Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana.
Taeva Pasyanti Achirena Tavakam.
Taeva Pasyanti Achirena Tavakam.
Bhava Pravaho Paramam Padamuyam.
Bhava Pravaho Paramam.
Shinvanti Gayanti Grananti Abhishnasa. Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana. Taeva Pasyanti Achirena Tavakam. Bhava Prabhavo Paramam. Any ladies? I don't know if you can see. Srinvanti.
Srinvanti.
What would that mean?
Hearing.
Gayanti.
Gayanti.
Speech.
Chant. Gaya. Gayatri, the original chant. Gayanti. Grinanti.
Grinanti.
To take. Abhikshasa.
Vaishnava.
Continuously.
Continuously.
Smaranti.
Smaranti.
Smaram, to remember. Yes. Nandanti.
Nandanti.
To take pleasure.
Take pleasure.
Tava.
Tava.
Your.
Good.
Ihitam.
Ihitam.
Activities.
Activities.
Jana.
Jana.
People in general.
People in general.
Te.
Te.
They.
They.
Eva.
Eva.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Pasyanti.
Pasyanti.
Can see.
Can see.
Achirena.
Acharena.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Tavakam.
Tavakam.
Your.
Your.
Bhava Prabhaha.
Bhava.
The current of rebirth.
The
Current of rebirth.
Uparam.
Paramam.
Cessation.
Cessation.
Pada Ambuja.
Dhammuja. Notice feet.
Yes, lotus feet. Ambuja. Lotus. Well, yeah, there's Naba Ambuja. Pada Ambuja. Right, lotus feet. Krishna's lotus feet. Just before I read the translation, it's nice to understand the context in which Queen Kunti is saying these beautiful prayers. Actually, she is offering her heart and soul to Krishna as Krishna is mounted on the chariot of Akrura, as he's being led away from Vrindavan towards Mathura, and for his next Leela, liberating his parents, killing King Kamsa, etc. And so she's just pouring out her love and her attachment to Krishna. And it comes out in such an intense, beautiful, wonderful way. So, here she's saying, "O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death." Such perfect wisdom. Spoken from the heart. So let us repeat. O Krishna.
O Krishna.
Those who continuously hear.
Those who continuously hear.
Chant.
Chant.
And repeat your transcendental activities.
And repeat your transcendental activities.
Or take pleasure in others doing so.
Or take pleasure in others doing so.
Certainly see your lotus feet.
Certainly see your lotus feet.
Which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death.
Can stop the repetition of birth and death.
Such great power of hearing about Krishna. You become deathless, beyond death. So Srila Prabhupada's purport, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Of course, Prabhupada's purport are not just beautiful ideas, but they're from the platform of perfect realization. Prabhupada being a lover of Krishna, Krishna gave him the potency to understand and transmit the full meaning of Krishna's words and the words of the other perfect devotees of the Lord. So Prabhupada's purpose are the highest truth and immensely spiritually nourishing, full of Krishna Shakti. So perfect by Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna cannot be seen by our present conditional vision. In order to see him, one has to change his present vision by developing a different condition of life. Full of spontaneous love of Godhead, when Sri Krishna was personally present on the face of the globe, not everyone could see him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Jarasandha, Shishupal were highly qualified personalities by acquisition of material assets, but they were unable to appreciate the presence of the Lord. They simply had material Shakti. No, in fact, they were demons against the Lord. So Krishna could not reciprocate, could not reveal himself. Therefore, even though the Lord may be present before our eyes, it is not possible to see him unless we have the necessary vision. It's described by the Brahma. You have to have the eyes of love. There's a saying, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Like a mother will see the child. Prabhupada gave the story of a child born blind, he had no eyes, and his mother named him Padmalocha, which means lotus eyes. She, out of love, saw him as the most beautiful child. But by material vision, he had no eyes, no vision. So the eyes of love. So, it is not possible to see unless we have the necessary vision. This necessary qualification is developed by the process of devotional service only, beginning with hearing about the Lord from the right sources. That's the key. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the popular literatures which are generally heard, chanted, repeated, etc. by the people in general, but in spite of such hearing, etc., sometimes it is experienced that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord eye to eye. They're not pure devotees. One has to hear from Krishna, about Krishna from his pure devotees. Then Krishna manifests in their hearts and on their lips. Krishna is fully present only in the vacha, in the words of his pure lovers, his pure devotees. Therefore, one has to hear. Of course, we're very blessed. We're always hearing from Prabhupada, the most pure source. So sometimes experience that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord eye to eye. The reason is that the first item, Shravana, is very important. If hearing is from the right sources, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from unauthorized persons. Such unauthorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time, no benefit. It appears to be Krishna Katha, but it has no transcendental connection to Krishna. Sometimes the texts of Gita are interpreted fashionably to suit their own purposes. In fact, there were like 600 translations of Bhagavad Gita by the time Prabhupada arrived in America. And at the beginning of his establishing his mission in New York, one lady approached Prabhupada and said, "Oh, you're teaching Bhagavad Gita. What edition would you recommend?" And Prabhupada honestly said, I cannot recommend any. So Prabhupada set about translating for that lady and everyone else. So you have to hear from the right source and get the right tattva, the right understanding. But so many people are using Krishna's status as the divine to put in their own message, their own interpretation, which is useless. You have to understand Krishna as he is and represent him as he is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, first one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes become automatically perfect in their own way, actually from Prabhupada's own life. Prabhupada told us so many times that my only qualification, because Prabhupada never took any merit or credit for his amazing, miraculous power of making devotees. He said, my only qualification, I was always very eager to hear my Guru Maharaj speak. Every word I took to heart. And then Prabhupada said, because I was so enthusiastic to hear what the divine message from my perfect teacher, now I'm very enthusiastic to share that message. So Prabhupada gave that as his own success, that I was so eager to hear, and now I'm really eager to speak the same. And so Prabhupada wanted to infuse us with that enthusiasm, utsahan. There are different transcendental activities of the Lord, and each and every one of them to bestow the desired result, provided the hearing process is perfect. In the Bhagavatam, the activities of the Lord begin from his dealings with the Pandavas, mostly Arjuna. There are many other pastimes of the Lord in connection with his dealings with the Asuras and others, which is also an important part, because Krishna is all powerful, and to show that to his devotees, it's very inspiring and enlivening. In the 10th canto, the sublime dealings with his conjugal associates, the gopis. It's funny that he says conjugal, because that's the gopis is parakiras. It's not exactly conjugal, but anyway, he's meaning his intimate dealings with his associates, the gopis. And that's in the 10th canto. As well as with his married wives, as Dwarka, that Svakiyaras, are mentioned. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference in the transcendental nature of each and every dealing of the Lord. So Lord Chaitanya gave special reverence or appreciation for the Parakya Rasa of the gopis, but it was considered to be unconditional love. No social limitations, no social conventions. They were just madly in love with Krishna, ready to do anything and everything. Leave their homes in the middle of the night and run after Krishna when he was playing his flute, like that. So unconditional love. Therefore Lord Chaitanya praised the gopis as the greatest of all devotees. Unconditional. So such an inclination indicates, so since the Lord is absolute, there's no difference in the transcendental nature of each and every dealing of the Lord. Whether, he's dealing with the gopis, his coward boyfriends, the gopas, his other associates, it's all absolute, perfect. But sometimes people in an unauthorized hearing process take more interest in hearing about his dealings with the gopis. Such an inclination indicates the lusty feelings of the hearer. So a bona fide speaker of the dealings of the Lord will never indulge in such hearings. In fact, Bhaktisiddhanta forbade his disciples to ever discuss the Rasa Lila, as our Srila Prabhupada also. Right? It's not ours to understand that highest pastime of the Lord. It is an intimate exchange of the highest purity and sublime nature. And we are not qualified yet. If Krishna wants us to understand, he can reveal that, or that appreciation. So we cannot, artificially impose ourselves into that understanding or that lila. Prabhupada always warned us, don't think you can hear about these things until they're completely free from bodily identity and lusty desires, which is a very advanced stage. Yanishta, Tataruchi, Tato. It starts at Adoshada, first faith, then Sadhu Sangha, you have faith, Krishna puts you in associated devotees, then you hear amongst devotees, and then you bhajana kriya or practice sadhana bhakti, and then finally Krishna blesses you with a taste and attraction, rati, all these things. So one step at a time. Don't try to run if you can't walk. Walk nice, and then run, and then jump, and then fly if you need to. Anyway, so one step at a time. A natural unfolding of the soul's pure nature that you can't do it artificially. So, therefore, you don't hear about the gopis or the Rasa Lila. That's Paramahansa Katha. That's for those who have pure love for Krishna, not for us yet. So one must hear about the Lord from the very beginning, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures. First, we understand the truth in first canto. The gopis' dealings, that higher rasa, is in the 10th canto. Prabhupada described it's like meditating on the deity. You look at the lotus feet of the Lord. The first canto is considered to be the lotus feet of the Lord, which is establishing Krishna's supremacy. He is the Supreme Lord with unlimited power. Therefore, in the first canto, the process of creation is there. Krishna's material potencies. and then his spiritual potencies, everything else. And then later you can appreciate the actual meaning of his lila, the prema vilas, the intricacies of divine love, not so easily understood in the neophyte. Krishna makes us understand or appreciate as we become qualified. So that, and if we hear in the proper way from the right source and in the right order, and the right, sequence, then that will help the hearer attain perfection by progressive development. One should not therefore consider that his dealings with the Pandavas are less important than his dealings with the gopis. We must always remember that the Lord is always transcendental to all mundane attachment. In all of the above mentioned dealings of the Lord, he is the hero in all circumstances. And hearing about him or about his devotees or combatants, because his devotees will fight, like Arjuna and others will fight for Krishna. He says, go, do your duty. You're the fighter, so do the right thing. Get rid of those nasty crews. They're stealing the throne, they're harming the people. So you do your job, you do your service, So hearing about all these progressive, how Krishna empowers his devotees, etc. So that is conclusive or conductive to spiritual life. It is said that the Vedas and Puranas, etc. are all made to revive our lost relation with him. Hearing of all these scriptures is essential. But that's very glorious, Prabhupada. Give it a perfect conclusion. As I was saying earlier, Prabhupada is so much empowered to fully reveal the full depth and potency of Krishna's teachings. One of Prabhupada's often quoted statements is that Krishna comes, Peritanaya Sadvinam Vinasaicha Duskitam Dharmasam Sapanataya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. Krishna comes for two main purposes, Peritanaya Sadvinam, which is the most important. He comes to deliver, protect his devotees. And to do that, he has to take care of the Duskritinas, Prabhupada called rascals or demoniac, who are acting against the will of the Lord and against the benefit of, or the benefit of the people in general. Only devotees of the Lord are actually in knowledge of what is good for the people. What is good is to help everyone, all of us and everyone else, re-establish our lost connection with Krishna. Then that's why Krishna comes, to display his divine opulences, to enliven or attract his devotees. And in many classes, Prabhupada said, actually Krishna comes to infuse his devotees to produce more glorification about himself, more Krishna Katha, more and more Krishna Katha. It's just like Lord Chaitanya came and he empowered the 6 Goswamis, his immediate intimate disciples, to produce the greatest works of spiritual genius. The works of the Goswamis go into all the depth of Krishna Lila and in most amazing empowered ways, like an encyclopedia of who God is, what he does in the spiritual world, the details of that spiritual world, and the process to return to the spiritual world, Savana Bhakti, like that. So different intimate followers of Lord Chaitanya were empowered in different ways. Rupa Goswami was instructed by Lord Chaitanya in Rasa Tattva, and the intricacies of the varieties of divine love. That happened at Prayag or Allahabad. And then, perhaps previously to that, Lord Chaitanya met with Sanatana Goswami, Rupa's elder brother, and the full spectrum of Krishna Tattva was revealed to Sanatana Goswami. In fact, I'm going to read an excerpt from that discussion in this other book, another masterpiece of spiritual genius that Prabhupada gave to the world, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So to Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya spoke for 7 days at Das Asvamedha Ghat in Varanasi, Benares, on the bank of the Ganges. And he revealed to him the whole spectrum of Krishna Tattva, how Krishna is the Supreme Lord, all his different potencies, his different avatars, and the process of sadhana bhakti, how to practice what is already the pure natural state of being of every living entity. Nitya Krishna Das, the eternal servant of Krishna, and that the state of perfection of that pure love of Krishna is dormant in everyone. It's the real nature, the real essence of our being. We are made of Krishna's love. Krishna expanded into innumerable living entities in order to exchange rasa. And that has made us all come into being, though we are existing eternally with Krishna, but that's our purpose, to exchange rasa with Krishna. And in the material world, we're in a distant rasa. We're in an unnatural state of consciousness that we're trying to be Krishna. We're taking our Krishna, the position of Krishna as a controller, the enjoyer, and therefore Krishna is giving us material nature to enjoy, but it's not a very nice situation because material nature is not that enjoyable. Though here it's quite enjoyable until the winter sets in and we see the other side of nature. Because everything here in this world is made of dualities. Where you find pleasure, that can also transform into misery. Okay? The same thing that gives me pleasure, nature, here we are, it's great. I mean, I love this natural environment, you know. There's Sadhvik and we see Krishna's potencies at work. It's miraculous, you know. But then also nature has its other side and it can make us suffer and remind us that we actually are not in our natural condition, that we should be with Krishna, loving and serving Krishna. Therefore, that's nature's purpose. To allow us some imitation of enjoyment, but mostly, in a sense, punishing us or tough love, like reminding us this is not where you belong. You should be with Krishna, and therefore it's an impetus to seek the higher purpose of life, etc. You know, as the Vedas enjoin. Atatu Brahma Jignasa, that now that we have attained the human form of life, we should be very serious about finding the purpose of life and a solution to all our real problems. Prabhupada has often stated that the beginning of human intelligence is actually coming to the point of asking, why am I suffering so much? When our intelligence is captured by Maya, when our intelligence is polluted by this false sense of enjoyment and being in control, everything's nice, then we are not yet awakened, and our intelligence is not awakened. And when our intelligence finally tries to see beyond all these temporary, impermanent types of happiness, then our true intelligence gets to work. We're trying to find out Janmadiya Sayataha, like in the Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, that it says that now that you're in this human form, your business is to inquire into the Absolute. Atatu Brahma Jignasa. Brahma means the Supreme. Jignasa, inquire, try and find out who that Supreme is. What is that Supreme? So Krishna is there, Chitta Guru, and he is in our hearts and giving us some indication, somewhat understanding, you know, and especially if we're very fortunate, Bhagavan Jeev, he brings us into the association of devotees. Just when our mentality is suitable to appreciate the association of devotees. Because devotees, they represent Krishna, or they have Krishna to share. The pure devotees, Mahabhagavad devotees like Srila Prabhupada, they're like a volcano of Krishna Shakti. Like they have so much spiritual potency. You know, when I first met the devotees in Vancouver, it was actually two devotees on the street, Gopi Pran, 6'4", and 5'4" Balakrishna. And Gopi Pran, who had actually read it back to Godhead while he was still an intern in the mental asylum, but he got himself cured of his insanity by reading back to Godhead and chanting Hare Krishna. So he left the mental asylum and went straight to the temple and became a very nice devotee.
he walked into the temple. I
Yeah.
never saw him before and said, I want to join.
Yeah.
And I said, why? He said, well, I see you guys and George and Graham
Yeah.
chanting everything. Looks like you're having more fun than I am. That was 1970.
Yeah. Oh yeah, amazing. He's the first devotee I ever talked to because I somehow, by Krishna's arrangement, met those two devotees on the street corner in Gastown, the older section of Vancouver. And Balakrishna was chanting. His whole heart and soul was in the chanting. But Balakrishna is severely musically challenged. He cannot sing. He cannot sing one note. Forget it. But his heart and soul was into it. He was so much into it. Hey, Krishna, hey, Krishna. Then I said, wow, this is amazing. What is he, into? I was so drawn to his intense commitment to the chanting. He was his eyes closed and he was giving it his best. And then I walked up to Gokulananda and I asked, I've heard about this Hare Krishna. I don't know much. Krishna actually came to this world? Because I'd read a few little things in autobiography of a yogi and this one and that. And so Krishna actually came. When was that? Oh, that was only 5,000 years ago when he spoke Bhagavad Gita. I don't have a copy, but you can come to the temple. We're having a feast right now. You should come along and I'll show you the Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, he was selling back to Godheads. And I said, yeah, okay, I'd like to find out more. But he said, I need a donation of 50 cents or as much as you can. And I said, oh my God, I don't have a penny on me. He said, that's it. No, come to the temple. Come to the temple. I said, yeah, I don't know. And I'd been just visiting Vancouver. I didn't really know where the temple was. Krishna made that arrangement about a week later. Anyway, so I said, no, okay, I guess I'll show up at the temple and get back to Godhead and Bhagavad Gita. But the next day I came back with $1 to give, but they weren't there. And oh my God, what happened? Where are they? And I didn't know where the temple was, and I had no clue. And I said, oh my God. I felt so deprived or bereft. I blew it. I lost the opportunity. But then about 200 feet down the street, blowing in the wind, was in back to Godhead, just like half on the sidewalk, half on the street, and somehow caught my attention, and I stumbled over, and here it was. I said, here's my back to Godhead. Thank you, Krishna. For free. And for free. And there was a little park half a block away. It was barely a park. It was an intersection. It was like an intersection built like a triangle. And there was about a 50-foot area of grass. And there was, it's not really a park. It's an intersection. But there was a beautiful tree right at that intersection. So that was it, full of traffic everywhere. So I said, okay, I might as well here. So I'm going to sit down here and read. And I read Back to Godhead for 2 hours, cover to cover. I said, let's get emotional. It was such a feeling of relief. Anyway, I had the darshan of Prabhupada on that day. It was so nice. And Prabhupada made me a devotee on the spot by hearing from him. So my point is that hearing is the connection, the lifeline to Krishna. But if you hear from a Bhagavad pure devotee, then the full potency of Krishna is there. And you can get swept into that divine current of Krishna Shakti, and experience your own spiritual nature. I mean, the association with the pure devotees is so powerful, it can bring you from the lowest modes of nature in total ignorance and full of sinful things and really covered over. And you can very quickly, rise above the clouds and see the beauty of Krishna's glories like the sun. And you see the wonderful sunrise. It's like, wow, this is great. So Krishna's glories are there in the heart and on the lips of his pure devotees. And that's why devotees are very eager to hear more and more about Krishna. In fact, Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Machchitam Vatitaprana Bodhyastas Parasparam Katayantas Tamamityam Tusyanti Charamanti Cha. That the main business of his devotees, Krishna says, is to come together, enliven each other by sharing Krishna Katha, Krishna Nam, the Mahamantra, Krishna Katha, Krishna's pastimes, and the words of his pure devotees, fully saturated with Krishna Shakti, Krishna Prema, and thus to enjoy the higher taste. And therefore Krishna says, Tusyanti charamati cha. In that association, hearing about Krishna, you become fully satisfied. Tusyanti and ramanti, you attain the highest happiness. And that's a fact. That's why this is such a glorious event, Vaishnava Sanga. Then we come together, this is what we do. The business of the devotees, to hear and chant about Krishna. And we get really enlivened and excited, and we want to store it up, like really charge ourselves up with that beautiful divine energy and keep it and share it. And like we're going on Parnas again today and tomorrow. Jai. That's our good fortune. We have been blessed so much with the daily association of the Mahabhagavat, Shakti Vaishnavatar, Srila Prabhupada, and all of his sincere followers. And so in that assembly, miracles happen. Lives are transformed. People become so positive and productive and eager to help. And that's the real symptom of a Vaishnava. He's not concerned just for his own well-being. He lives for others. He wants to give as much as he has received to others. And that was Prabhupada's success. He was so eager. Prabhupada left the most sublime, peaceful, transcendental abode of Vrindavan, came to the West amidst the insanity of the Western materialistic culture, and he created miracles all around him, drew thousands of disciples, and he infused them with his desire to give Krishna to the whole world. And that's the miracle of ISKCON, which is still growing. Almost 800 centers now all around the world. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Especially in India, it's really booming there. After 30 years of preaching, it's like, so glorious. So Prabhupada's Shakti and mercy is forever expanding, and it's our life and soul. Like we are living on that mercy, and we're there to share it with each other, like here and now. And every other day, we have to give a little bit, make some effort, some connection to help others preach or directly preach ourselves. And it makes our lives perfect and makes others possibly fortunate to make their own lives perfect. So on that note, I wish I could have expanded and read a nice excerpt about the benefits of hearing about Krishna. It's there. You can read T.C. Sword Chaitanya. Thank you. Yes?
2 comments and 1 question.
Yes.
Thank you very much. This word, Srinvanti, related to hearing. And you were mentioning how Srila Prabhupada relished every word of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Yes.
So I remember from the Prabhupada Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada was saying that he was in Vrindavan with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and they were all doing Brajmandala Parikram. So although all of Prabhupada's godbrothers, I don't know if he was initiated yet or not, but they were all going to see the holy places, but Srila Prabhupada stayed there with Srila Bhakti. He wasn't so much interested in seeing all these Leela places as he wanted to hear from his Guru Maharaj. And Prabhupada mentioned that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, I have marked him because he hears so nicely. In the future he will be able to preach or speak very nicely.
That's very nice.
So you're inspired that remembrance in me. Another comment is, you said we should never discuss the Rasa Leela. So I was thinking, okay. I remember one story where an Indian couple came to Srila Prabhupada. He said, oh Swamiji, can you tell us about Rasa Leela? And Prabhupada said, I am not qualified to speak about Rasa Leela. And he deflected them. Yet, we see the Prabhupada produced Krishna book, which has 5 primary chapters dealing with Rasa Leela, and then we have the 10th canto. Prabhupada only went up to Brahma Vimohan Leela. I don't know if that includes Rasa Leela, but he did ask Pradyumna. Unfortunately, he was not able to. But Gopi Pranadhan and Hridayananda Maharaj give purports on that. So does that mean that we should only hear Rasa Leela within only that 10th canto? We're not allowed to read what Jiva Goswami says about Rasa Tattva?
No, Prabhupada gives exactly what we require. It's all there. You don't have to go looking for some other tattva, some other deeper revelation, this and that, be guru. No. And Prabhupada is fully empowered. They say of some more, elevated Vaishnava, he is Rasika Guru. He is so elevated that he'll be able to reveal your own rasa, your own intimate connection with Krishna. that is there in Prabhupada's Shakti, Prabhupada's mercy. Prabhupada gave us exactly the method suited to our present situation so we can come up to that highest level. So we don't have to artificially try and find some esoteric knowledge or, this and that. No. These things are glorious, but we have more than enough in our own Sangha, Prabhupada's books. There's an ocean of knowledge there. You won't even finish it in one lifetime. And you can discuss with other devotees what inspires you, what excites you in the great teachings of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada he would read his own books, because he sometimes said, I am not written these books. Somehow Krishna has used me to reveal all these wonderful things. And Prabhupada called his Bhagavatam, these are my spiritual ecstasy. Because Prabhupada was in trance. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam tupitobhakam. Didami buddhi yogamtam. Krishna was directly speaking to Prabhupada from within his heart. All this perfect knowledge coming and for the whole world to benefit. So it's living. Prabhupada wrote it 50 years ago, 40 years ago, and it's still fully powerful, fully saturated with divine love and divine potency. So don't try and get some higher knowledge from someone else. You'll miss the boat. Prabhupada has everything and more than you could ever hope to achieve. Of course, hearing is the beginning. You have to share it and then put it into practice. And, in fact, the more you share it, the better you understand it. And then you'll be motivated to do more sadhana, more service, and more chanting, more of everything. It's a gift that keeps giving, But let's keep hearing amongst each other, only from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's followers. So many wonderful devotees have so many realizations. And they've written nice books, and they're good. They're the second level, they're not level, but Prabhupada's books are predominant for everyone for all time, 10,000 years. And other books are there to complement and infuse us to go back to Prabhupada's teachings and understand more and more, like that. Okay?
Thank you. I don't want to have a long discussion on this, but I would just, as we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada will make reference to, once you hear from the previous acharyas, and he's saying, Srila Goswami has commented like this, for more information, consult with this shastra, consult with that shastra. That's not just contained only in Prabhupada's books.
Very few devotees are really have powerful intellects who can really properly understand and assimilate and communicate all of that higher knowledge. It's good. It's not for the rank and file. It's not for the rank and
file. Last question was, you mentioned that the Pandavas are not less important than the Gopis. So I understand from the absolute platform, they're all absolute. Yet, I've only read a small part of Srimad Bhagavatam, but from what I understand, Gokul Kumar is hearing, and it seems, in the little bit I've read, that, and I can't remember exactly the succession, but that better than Narada Muni is Prahlad, and better than Prahlad is...
I don't know. But they're all glorious, they're all perfect. Perfect, more perfect, most perfect.
Okay.
So you can benefit. I mean, I haven't really realized the glories of Arjuna yet, so why should I go running after other realizations, Then you get back to Bhagavad Gita and how Arjuna really took to heart and understood and facilitated Krishna's revelation so that we can get all the mercy of Bhagavad Gita, So Arjuna is one of our big heroes. And also, not just his attitude, he put it into practice. He surrendered in everything, and he went out there and he won the battle, which was the mission impossible, but Krishna gave him the faith. You can do it. I'm with you at every step, and I've already done all this. Here's my universal form. But you have you got your part. You got to do your part. This is what this is your service, and don't skip out. Do it all the way. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Vaishnava Sanga ki jai. Hare Krishna.